Hello everybody, my name is Rebecca Shimoleski and I'm a health coach and I run this group. I'm putting together a quick video tonight. I'm not live, but I wanted to get this video out to you. I graduated from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, which is the largest nutrition school in the world, and I specialize in hormone health. But today we're going to talk about the gut microbiota. Talked about that a little bit last week. I like to review a little bit what we talked about last week. That's my teaching background. It's always great to review to help us to remember. It's been a week. There's a lot of things that we forget. And it helps me to remember as well. So last week we talked a little bit about what's going on in the gut. We talked about absorption in your stomach and your small intestine, and that people absorb anywhere from 10 to 90% of their nutrients. So if you're at that lower end, this may be one of the reasons why you're always hungry. Whatever's left over after it's being digested in the stomach and the small intestine, it goes to your colon. And that's where I want to talk about today. Those leftovers, what's left over from what you eat is ending up in our colon. And a lot of how we feel is based on what you eat. I always say you are what you eat. You've heard this before. Your mother probably said it, your grandmother. You are what you eat. And so there are ways that we can improve the gut microbiome, the bacteria that's in our gut. So I wanted to share, and again, a little bit of review from last week. 90% of the cells in our body are made up of these microbial bacteria cells. So only 10% of the cells in our body are actually human cells. So I kind of get a feeling, don't you, that maybe we need to be nice and help our bacteria so they can help us to be stronger and healthier and thrive in this world. So the leftovers that we're talking about that the bacteria really like are these fibers called polysaccharides. They're non-digestible for the stomach and for the small intestine. That's why they get left over. We were created in a very unique way to be able to take this leftover stuff that we always think about as waste, but it's feeding our bacteria. And remember, we have good bacteria in our gut and they need to be fed so they can do what they need to do. Now, bacteria live in our colon, and I want to help you remember, when we talk about colon, large intestine, you've heard the word lumen, we're talking about, those are all interchangeable words. That's where your bacteria is, a lot of the waste that our bacteria thrive on, and then it's eliminated when we go to the bathroom. So that is something I just want you to be aware those words are used interchangeably, and sometimes I use one word and sometimes I use the other, so just know I'm talking about the same thing. So bacteria live in your colon, and the colon has a lot of folds in it, and it's got a mucosal lining, and if the bacteria are not given the polysaccharides I talked about, that non-digestible plant fibers, it will start feeding on your mucosal lining in your large intestine, in your colon. So another reason to eat your fruits and vegetables. Okay, so bacteria, what do they do? What's the lowdown on bacteria? They do a lot of different things. They regulate your inflammation in your body, which and I wrote about this in the past, we understand that inflammation can lead to chronic illnesses. The bacteria helps develop your immune system. It may be a reason why you crave certain foods. Believe it or not, the bacteria can actually cause you to crave certain foods. Makes sense to me. Everything's connected. It can even affect your moods, which again, if it affects what we want to eat, I can see how it can affect our moods. Now, bacteria, remember, it digests food. It creates vitamins. It actually helps break down different drugs that you might be taking, and the food, of course. And it actually helps, when we eat these different things, it creates different microbial changes in our colon. So when we eat vegetables, or if we eat fruit, remember the carbs are broken down in your stomach and then into your small intestine, but those leftover indigestible fibers are consumed by the bacteria. But then the bacteria, again, what can they do for us? They actually make molecules to help our bodies. There is some value in what they do. It's not just waste that they're dealing with. They're actually taking this waste and creating molecules to help. They carry out processes similar to, in the process of fermentation, similar to what happens with sauerkraut or bocho. How do you say that? I don't know. So they create these molecules to help regulate immunity functions. Bacteria create molecules to help regulate hormone functions. And bacteria helps regulate inflammation. So that bacteria does have a lot of different jobs that are important. I mean, immunity, hormone, and inflammation regulation. Again, we should take good care of our bacteria. So what I spoke about last week, we're just starting to understand the relationship between your gut microbiome, and when I talk about microbiome, I'm talking about the environment, the ecosystem in your gut, and people are really just starting to understand what that relationship is to our overall health and well-being. Things are really exciting nowadays, just what we're learning and the things that still have to be learned, and what we might be talking about today can change for tomorrow. That's okay. We have to take the time and learn and study and get the answers that we need. But one thing we do understand, that the more diverse your bacteria is, the healthier you will be. Diversity meaning the different number of species that are in our gut. Now, in America, the average number of species is about 1,000 different species of bacteria. We talked about that last week. Populations in the world that are untouched by the Western diet have about 1,200 different species of bacteria. And when we talk about the Western diet, I'm talking about the standard American diet, which is very sad, highly processed, full of sugar, very inflammatory, chemically, high in not the good fats. So that will actually lower the diversity in our gut. So it makes sense why people in America have a lower diversified gut microbiome than in cultures in different parts of the world. But I want you to understand one thing, this is good, that your gut bacteria can be changed depending on what you eat. So don't think that you are stuck with the microbiome that you have. If you have gut issues, the irritable bowel syndrome or different gut dysbiosis, like a SIBO, as I think that's how you pronounce it, and leaky gut, all those different gut dysfunctions, those things can be improved and in many cases healed by changing the way you eat. So this is my caveat. Go down in the comments and I will have a link to a one-page handout that tells you things that you can do to make some changes to improve your diet, things to avoid, and also things to add to your food regimen to help improve your microbiome. So I'll say goodbye for now. This was short, only 8 minutes, so sit and watch it and get your free download, and I'll talk to you next week. God bless you much. Bye-bye.